Where are we? I don't even know where we left off. Hey everyone, thanks for all the fantastic comments on the vid so far. I'm at the stage now where I'm just putting together the body, and we've attached all the limbs, save for the arms, and at this point I wanted to just go through all the items I've got on the board and the options that are in play. This is the figure that we've got, made from Assault on Blackridge Terminator parts, and I began to select shoulder pads. I'd previously tried to do a cast of this Mephiston shoulder pad here on the right shoulder, and that's the result, which is really good, but there's only half the detail, because there's only half the detail on the model, because it's obscured by his hand and by a pipe. So instead, I picked up a box of Chaos Knights last week for fun, and just stumbled upon the fact that there's a fantastic skull shoulder pad in that set. On this side we've got Sanguinary Guard shoulder pad. This particular one is the Grim Reaper, or the Priest with the wings, which I thought was fun because it's a reflection of what this whole model is going to be. He'll be wearing himself on his shoulder pad. Now this is the interesting part. I've got 4 different arms, and on the left hand side I've got 3 different arms. In the Games Workshop model, Mephiston is holding his pistol in his right hand and his sword in his left hand, and I like to stay true to that. With Dante, I kept all the weapons in the same hands, but I don't really have a good reason for doing it, other than I just like to reference the model in some way. And so originally my idea was to have this sword here pointing down, and that would require a heavy conversion of the wrist area. I did that with Dante, but it was a lot easier with the Power Fist. I think I underestimated how hard it would be with this normal Terminator fist. So I'm really looking for a hand that's already pre-sculpted to fit that kind of pose, which is pointing the wrist out and the sword down. So I wouldn't be using this. That means that I have to find something else similar, and there is nothing for the left hand holding a sword that looks like that. But there are some gun hands where the gun is facing down. We also have a Power Fist here, and that's because I was discussing with Anix the possibility of putting the sword coming out of the Power Fist sheathed along the top. And he liked the idea, and I think that I'm taking that idea from Retri. If I remember correctly, he's got some video somewhere with that sword up, sheathed to the Power Fist. But the more I think about it, the more I want him to be holding his sword. I think the most powerful aspect of the original cast is, the relationship with the weapon and the gloved hand, and that's really important, I think, especially because I'll be channeling psychic energy from the weapon, or from the psychic hood to the wings and through the weapon, and there needs to be some kind of more immediate contact. So he should be holding his sword. Plus that sort of sets him apart. So coming full circle, that's why we'll swap things around. I'm going to cut off the bottom of this gun and attach it to the pistol. And I'm going to get rid of the sword. Similarly, on the right hand, he'll now be holding a sword where he was previously holding his pistol. This is from the Chaos Knight set also. It is a really good fit. The thing about Mephiston is he has gloves, not traditional Space Marine armor on his wrists and hands. That would work really well. Just cut off the forearm there, cut off the sword head there, and you can even keep this hilt, and then you just replace the sword. These are pretty much the same option, there's just different poses. One is having the sword at a bit more of a elevated angle, and the other one is having it more on a downward angle. This outer option requires more sculpting, because I have to sculpt in the skeleton here once I've taken out the shaft. Here I don't, so I might go with that. But what am I thinking? Well, what I'm thinking is that this character kind of needs to be a bit more cool, in my opinion. I need to sort of make it a bit more crazy. So I could go with this arm, but I could also go with the skeleton arm, and the idea is that it will be Space Marine armor down to the wrist, and then it will be the glove, but the glove has been flayed by the psychic energy that's flowing through the sword, so his glove is sort of like torn and shredded, and then maybe like a result of his psychic energy that's coursing through his body that creates this sort of illusion. But it's also pretty cool, like it'd be pretty weird. Coming back here, we've got a bunch of extras. I think these are mortars, but they'll work really well as bigger syringes. Maybe turn them upside down and cut some stuff off. So I might use some of that just here on the groin area, on the left leg, as a bit of detail with some blood in it. I believe these are Warhammer Fantasy Elven banners, because it's like a really easy way of creating fabric without having to go through all the fuss. And then we've got some shoulder pads here, this little vial here and here. I'll also be using one of these blood droplets on the sword, and potentially this skull, or this blood droplet here on the chest piece. And then over here we've got some head options, and let's see if we can get close.